You know why you don't make a lot of money? In fact, everything is very simple. Someone is holding it in their hands. Even if you're lucky enough to go. That's with a blindfold and headphones. Shut out all external perception. That's how you make all that money. But you can only earn so much for so long. After all, this place is a secret. With the new hunting season, all the hunters gathered together again. And hunting for some time to come. Making plans. Although last year, the main target was female pythons. And the effect is also a good progress. But this year it's all about that. At the same time, I have to catch again. Those little pythons. After all, they can start breeding soon enough. But people don't have much experience with that, right? So Dusty called in some locals to aid in the capture of the people. A few people after finalizing the plan. And the hunt for the python began, preparing for this year's arrest. And this time in Dusty's home. Zach and Aaron came here because Dusty's going to do it for both of us. Introduce a local hunter named Dave. And there's nothing simple about him. For pythons on the ground, he's the one who caught it recently. Even recorded one arrest. Look at his speed and skill. That's a real cow. And these things make both of them happy. So the three men quickly went to catch the snake. But it's 7 miles to the east. Troy and Kimchi. On our way to the snake spot. Although Kimchi is back again, Troy decided today's arrest had to be quick. Let Kimchi get acquainted first. But she was nervous. After all, when he left, Troy was later bitten by a snake. And that bloody hand, it made her so scared. But Troy got to know. That is the constant comfort for him. She's nervous even to watch. I told her about today's arrest. All we have to do is catch 3. As the two arrived at their destination, he immediately walked into the swamp. The pair also had a lot of luck. Into the swamp, Troy saw one, where the python once walked. So the two quickly followed. When Kimchi fell to the ground, confirmed there's a python ahead. So Troy hurried round. But when he arrived, there was no sign of a python. But Kimchi wasn't convinced. Always looking around, and the hard work pays off. Kimchi also managed to find the python. He quickly grabbed the snake's tail. With Troy coming, Kimchi quickly began to tease the python. Get his attention there. But it doesn't seem like much has changed, you know? So I just grabbed it. Although the snake is not very big, I got my hands on this first python. Still make Kimchi very happy. And 30 miles to the southeast, Zach and Aaron, also directly with Dave. And he was planning on bringing 2. Head to a secret snake-catching spot of your own. When Zach heard that, it was a face of excitement. But Dave has one small request. That's on the way there. Must wear a blindfold, although he did not do so well. But they were willing to accept. After all, it doesn't matter if he's helping the environment. But a place like this that brings in a lot of money, that's really not much. With the two of them, a simple sleep soon arrived at the destination. As the 3 men walked onto land, the hunt for the python began immediately, though they looked for it for a long time without finding it. But it took half an hour. Finally saw the figure of the python, but then Dave grabbed the snake tail. But there's no snake head in sight. The 2 men quickly grasped in Nabala. But Zach saw it on the other side. But when he tried to make an arrest, but the python got it back. But he was caught by Aaron on the other side. As he lifts it up, found that the snake was really small. But the good news is that the purpose now is it. Or none of them want to waste their time. At the same time, Kaylin and Bruce. The 2 made their first joint arrest. As Ashley comes home this year. That's why I'm working with Kelly. After all, the old man is quite old. The things I've seen are not. It's safer for Kaylin to work with them. And where they're headed now. Before I came to Kaylin, where we caught a giant boa constrictor. After all, they have some doubts. Those pythons could be nesting here again. As they arrived at their destination, Kaylin walked ashore immediately, holding the boat in place. Then the 2 men began to search for the python. But Kaylin is a little, can't find the location of the previous snake hole. After all, the environment here, they all look pretty much the same, and there's no sign of any python movement. But it's been half a day. But it took them so long. Just got to this island. Now we just have to keep looking. And on the other side at Dusty's house, we have another local hunter, Mike. and he brought a python with him. Although Dusty can handle this stuff. But that's not all he does. Dusty's gonna get some more from Mike. That's where I got the python. And then help others. You can catch pythons here. And when Mike showed Dusty the video, while saying that there is already a very serious crisis, it's not just pythons that are abundant. There are also a lot of crocodiles. I just wiped out all the living things. When Dusty was still there, it was busy. Pickle and Troy on the other side. After the two caught a python in the morning. And now there's nothing to be gained. But at this time, Kimchi is in the grass on one side. Suddenly I saw a python, so the two quickly surrounded up. But he lost his purpose. And that's when Troy. There's been another python sighting. Kimchi quickly grabbed the snake tail. But in the attack of the python, only the tail can be removed. But it's good to influence it on Troy's side. Let Kimchi find the opportunity straight away. And this snake is in our hands. Just put the Kimchi out of the way. But they are constantly on guard. And that made Troy very happy. You're dealing with a python, after all. It's good to keep it that way. And on the other side, Zach and Aaron, still looking for signs of the python. But their progress has also stalled. It took hours to find out. And that makes Zach feel. Dave's place is ruined. There's no sign of the python. That's when Zach suddenly made a discovery. And there are two of them. But this bird's nest. There was no sign of survival. Plus, pythons can climb trees. The nest is so close to the ground. It's probably all eaten up. And Dave on the other side also made a discovery. And it looks like a snake hole. With the two Zach coming, Dave pulled out the contents too. Also confirmed that this is the snake cave. After all, there are no snake eggs anywhere else. But Dave didn't see any snakes in there. But it does mean that there used to be a lot of pythons here. So, several people quickly spread out to search. At the same time, Kaylin and Bruce, still on that island, but in a place with so many snakes last year. And today, there's nothing. That's when Kaylin finally found her goal. So he quickly lay on the ground to find. But it took me a long time to find it. And you didn't see anything, not even a snake egg. So he withdrew, prepared to continue the search for other pythons. On the way to constant progress, Bruce found a snakeskin all of a sudden. This made the two very excited. The search was immediately intensified. Suddenly, Kaylin saw another hole. He quickly groped on the ground, but it seems a little deep. He quickly increased his strength as she caught the tail of the snake, quickly pulled it out, although the python appeared after. The attack was immediately launched, but it didn't do anything. But that gave Kaylin an opportunity. Just put your hand forward right now. Just grab the python in your hand. As they put it into a sack, the two also caught the first python. And on the other side of the camp, Dusty's working on the snakeskin. After all, he's a little different from the other hunters. Dusty isn't just for other hunters. Deal with follow-up issues with the python and turn it into money. After all, he is more conscientious than other buyers. Not only will it make more money for other hunters, it also provides good hunting grounds. And now he's ready to go. A snakeskin tannery nearby. Use fresh python skin there. Get some finished ones. With an hour's journey, Dusty came to the sweatshop too. And this place lives up to its name. There's finished leather everywhere. This makes Dusty very excited. And the reason he doesn't do it himself, it is not only because of the long time, but also the tedious process. Total effort is not proportional to effort. This is the only way. Follow Dusty with the staff to the snakeskin he could take. It was very exciting for the whole person. After all, these things are beautiful. So he quickly picked up the thing and immediately started running. 28 miles east at this time. Pickle and Troy are looking for a third snake. After all, that's all we need right now. I can call it a day. Although they looked for a long time, but their spirits are still high. And the two also found the python. So the Kimchi pulls it apart. Troy was called back from inside. Follow him up and grab the snake tail. Kimchi was immediately on the side. Let the eyes of the python look at themselves. But he looked at Troy. And Kimchi, after seeing that he didn't respond, just go ahead and extend your hand. He caught the python in his hand. And this snake is really big. Looks like a lot of eggs. so he quickly threw it into the bag. They were both smiling, and the team of 3 on the other side. It took nearly a day to find it. So far, there's only one python. This made Dave very anxious. After all, this is his secret location. Although there are other things here as well, like the lizard on Zach's hand. This thing is the Jesus lizard. It's an invasive species in the swamp. Even though I caught this thing, but there's still no sign of the python. And Dave on the other side, still out there trying to find the python. It's poking at the grass all the time. Then he too found a hole. So Dave scrambled it away. There's a python down there too, and it looks like a female python. It's not a small size either. Aaron quickly grabbed the snake's tail, but there's no snake head in sight. But with Zach pulling back, Dave just grabbed it. So he pulled it up, and this python is nearly 4 meters long, caught in the hands of 3. It was very happy to keep it from getting away, quickly put it into a sack. Then he was ready to leave. But when we go back, again, keep the blindfold on, and Kaylin and Bruce on the other side. There was also only one python, and small snakes. But they both had good luck. You always find python burrows. But there's nothing in here, not even their eggs. This makes Kaylin too very uncomfortable. Keep them both busy. But then Kaylin suddenly made a discovery. So hurriedly rushed up. Bruce came running behind, although he was a little slow to get here. But the snake didn't run away, and even stayed there, and kept attacking Kaylin. When Bruce got here, Kaylin catches the python. Bruce quickly pulled out the sack. As the 2 men put things together, quickly began to return. As the sky grows darker, Troy and Kimchi arrived at Camp Dusty, and he had a python in his hand. So Dusty quickly began to dissect, but in the belly of the snake, and all they had was little snake eggs. But what difference does it make? After all, snake eggs don't matter how big or small. It doesn't change the outcome. As the Kimchi finished counting the eggs, I found 35 of these things. 2 others also took advantage of the snakeskin. We simply handled the python. Well, that's all for this program. Give it a thumbs up and let's look forward to the next episode. These 2 are amazing. To catch one, a python hiding in the ground. It took about an hour, and dug the dirt out of his head, and he pulled his tail right out. Although this python looks very timid, but the attack is a vicious one. As the new day of python season begins, inside Dusty's camp, welcome Kaylin and Bruce. And the reason they came here, because of Dusty, the little inventor, made a few traps to catch snakes. But these things haven't been proven yet. It's still in the theoretical stage. For that he needs 2 men to get to the swamp, place these traps, but the 2 only put the things away. You need to put the doll inside. After all, trying to catch a python, you still need a decoy, and this thing that's vibrating, just enough to do it, even though it looks like a shoddy trap. But they were willing to try. After all, if this thing works, and then the capture of the python, it's going to be a lot easier. As the crowd put it on the car, immediately start heading for the swamp. And 56 miles away, Troy and Kimchi decided to go deep into the swamp today. But in order to reduce the time spent, so I called a friend of mine, Cody, by the plane he was flying, and immediately ran to that once, where there are lots of pythons. When Cody arrived in his plane, at once they walked forward. After saying hello to each other, Cody asked them where they were going, but Troy said he kind of forgot. That left Cody speechless, but he said he made a mark there, still able to locate. So when the 3 of them got on the plane, also began to fly to this sky. But after going up there, Troy pointed Cody in the right direction. When they spent half an hour, also came to this place. So Cody had to land. As the plane came to rest there, Troy and Kimchi started running at once and start checking here. But the pair did not find the mark, and that lets them know this is not the destination of the trip. So they went back. At the same time, Zach and Aaron, I'm going to try something different today. Hunt down the pythons here. And that is this one place. Although they don't know about the pythons here. But they were here, catching quite a few invasive fish. And they used it as a trap to attract those pythons. With a few people near the shore, Aaron went right up to But there was a foul smell right from the start. But they found a lot of clues here. But there aren't any pythons. This made them both very uncomfortable. So they chose a path. Follow along and have a look. If we can catch the python. And two people followed. I found a python. Aaron caught hold of the tail. And Zach went to the other side. Begin to harass the attention of the python. The snake is also very powerful. It wasn't just Zach. And she turned her head toward Aaron. And the two were turned away. Quickly began to run. Zach just grabbed it when he saw it. With the python caught, Aaron quickly stretched the bag open. With Zach packing things up, he quickly sealed the bag. And up north, Troy and Kimchi. Not only are there no pythons, and it hasn't been found yet, the original secret location. This makes the back two a little anxious. After all, the longer it takes, there might be fewer pythons there. With a few people flying in the sky for a while, Troy saw a place, and very much like a destination. As Cody slowly lowered the plane, Troy and the dish quickly went down. And tell Cody to come back later. The two men walked into the swamp. The search for the python began immediately. At the same time, Kalen and Bruce, to set Dusty's trap, and now in the swamp. But they had not yet reached their destination. It was a waste of time, though, but he made it to his destination, as the two men took their things immediately into the swamp and set up the trap. With all three things done, and the search for the python began. But under the advance of the two, discover the vegetation here. Long is too good. But then Kalen spotted the python. He quickly called Bruce back. Surround the python, but it seems a little fierce. I can't believe I was there attacking both of them. But Bruce found his chance. He caught the python in his hand, and it was held by two men. It was very happy. After all, it represents they didn't catch the snake like they did at first. That's a long haul to get two snakes. And now it's here again. Let's see what Dusty's doing again. Although he didn't go out to catch a snake. But the pythons keep coming in. As Jimmy came carrying his stuff, immediately put the python on the table. And Jimmy always had snakes with him. Come to Dusty. As the two spread the snake. Look at this huge python. He quickly asked where he got it. But the result, when Jimmy was on the road, found this giant python. And the wildlife there is almost gone. Even the highly fertile mice. Jimmy hasn't seen it in a long time. And Dusty, who heard this, think there will be where the hunters go. After all, it is understood that the area has become overrun with pythons. And Zach and Aaron on the other side. After a long search, I haven't seen it so far. Any sign of a python. This makes two people very uncomfortable. So they decided to go another way. And they just walked up that one. Aaron found the python. Looks like when they first started. I chose the wrong path. But when they got close. But I can't find the python. Just looking at the calm water. In that stupid sulk. These two are really unlucky. Then they have to go back and look again. At the same time, Troy and Kimchi. Same as Zach and Zach. After coming here, I never caught a python. Not even a trace. And Cody will be there before the sun goes down. Pick them up and head back to the city. After all, it's nighttime. He won't be able to fly. So if they don't get anything, I'll just have to accept it. But then the Kimchi suddenly made a discovery. This made Troy very happy. So he came quickly. Pick up the snake tail with the Kimchi. Quickly pulled it to the open space. After all, these snakes are in the trees. The threat is too great. Although the two men pulled him to the clearing. In the face of a python attack, there has been no progress. But with the involvement of photographers, gave the python a slip. Otherwise, Kimchi would have been impossible to catch. The two may not have a harvest today. But with this 10-foot python in our hands, that is quickly put it into a sack. After all, the sun is now. It's not far from falling. But these two are in the middle of the forest. Cody couldn't find them. To do so, they must first find a clearing. Or tonight, the two of you. Here's the company of the pythons. I think we're looking back at our unlucky brother. The pair have yet to find a python. There's not even another living thing in sight. It's like they're the only ones here. Oh no. And the photographer. And weeds all over the ground. But then Zach saw a hole. So he quickly lay on the ground. ready to see what's going on, and he's combining his own experience. It feels like Candy's got a python in here. Add to that the touch of the hand. Sure, there's a python in here. So Aaron took out a shovel. Whoa, wait. This thing came out of there. But they didn't seem surprised. While Zach was there shoveling dirt, while Aaron was watching the play. Let's look at Bruce and Kalen. The two of them are lucky after all. We didn't just catch a python. And there's always little bugs around to accompany two people in the middle of nowhere. But they don't seem to like it very much. It's just a waste there. And that's when Kalen suddenly spotted the python. Hurriedly rushed up with joy. I guess he doesn't dislike animals after all. I just don't like bugs. But the python didn't seem to like them either. I went right up the tree, prepared to avoid possible harm from the two. But it's clear they don't want to give up. They're constantly out there trying to stop the python. Even Kalen pulled it off, forced it to be played with, although the snake is constantly attacking. But Kalen found her chance. It went straight to the hand, and Bruce saw that. Also, hurriedly, from their own backpack, pull out the sack that was inside. They just seemed to be satisfied, and decided to put it in a sack, and began his journey home. Forget it. Let's take another look at our unlucky brother. I just didn't think about Zach. Still digging in the dirt. It took so long, but it's good to see snakes. Just a little bit, though, but his snake tail. Zach still had it in his hands, but they couldn't get it out. So Zach started digging again, and this time he got a little bit off. Pick up the snake tail again, and pulled most of the python out through the joint efforts of both men. And pulling the python out, and Zach just jumped right in. He caught the python in his hand. I didn't expect this snake. It cost two people, for almost a day, to fit in a sack, and the two have decided to end today's arrest. After all the time wasted here, just caught this one python, and on the other side there's Troy and Kimchi, still looking for open space, prepare to wait for Cody's plane. But then they suddenly stopped, and he held his head up. Looks like Cody flew over it, and they found one thing. I think I got lost in here, so that Cody could find himself. He quickly put together a pile of dry leaves, lighted up with the kimchi. This pair of grass is also emitting smoke. It just looks a little small. I don't know if Cody in the sky can see it. With kimchi in there for this smoke, I think Cody found something. It's hovering over both of them, but it won't go down. Isn't that the obvious reason? So many trees he went down. But fortunately, the two men reacted. After extinguishing the flame, he quickly followed Cody. Soon they came to a clearing, with Cody's plane down. Two people also quickly went up. After all, without him, they might not even make it out. At the same time, Kalen and Bruce. After the python hunt, I came to see the trap. After all, this is important stuff. If these traps can work, that followed the python capture. It's going to be easier than catching a crocodile, and there will be a lot more of them. But when the two came to the first trap, only to find that there is no gain. But they didn't lose heart. This thing is still theoretical, after all. It's not unusual for it not to work out. With them came the second queen. Found it in here. It was empty. This is what they believe most. I just didn't expect it to be like this. When the two came to the last one, turns out there's no python in here either. But there was something else. That's a turtle, even though this thing is an invasive species. But he doesn't destroy the surrounding ecology. So they set him free. I mean, it's not going to do much to hold on to it. Take it home and make soup. What a waste of time. And inside Dusty's camp, Zach and Aaron come with their own snakes. Although the snake is not very big, but his belly is very big. So when they got back, I got to Dusty right away. Be prepared to deal with it directly. As Dusty cuts it open, the crowd looked at the belly full of snake eggs. It was very exciting. After all, there aren't many such opportunities. As they invented it, found in the belly of this snake. I was pregnant with 28 snake eggs, although not the largest number. But that's a lot. Well, that's all for this program. Give it a thumbs up, and let's look forward to the next episode.